days of my outdoor Dianthus. All I have are these cut flowers I saved from the weather. What are you gonna do? Dianthus is a large genus. There's over 300 species, and then it's also a very heavily hybridized species. So tons of different cultivars you can get. They can be annual, perennial, or biennial, depending on the variety. They're actually pretty hardy in cooler climates. Like most people say zones 3 to 11. Some people even say 2, depending on the variety, that they'll do okay over the winter, which is really awesome. Some people call Dianthus flowers pinks. Some people call them carnations. Generally, although carnations are a type of Dianthus, they're in the same family, which is Caryophyllaceae. By the way, gillyflower. Some people call them gillyflowers. Maybe because of their serrated edges. Because of all the different varieties, there's tons of Latin stuff I could throw at you, but I don't want to because some people find that so dry and they're just not interested. If that's your thing and you're looking for a specific cultivar variety, check out the description down below this video, and I've listed some popular varieties that sort of have different perks depending on what you're looking for to plant, whether it's fragrance or color or vibrancy. No matter what kind of Dianthus you're planting, they like full sun and they'll tolerate part shade. They're not a drought tolerant plant by any means. You do have to keep them watered to really enjoy those blooms. And they're also a bit of a heavy feeder, so I would recommend adding some compost at the beginning of your season or mid-season. There are some hybridized lower growing kind of bushy varieties. Those would probably be more drought tolerant if you're worried about that, if you live in a really hot region, or you're planting in a container and it dries out a lot. That might be a better cultivar for you. And then there's some taller ones. The stems are 10 inches or so and very upright. They're both beautiful. The seeds are like dust, okay? They're pretty light and teeny tiny. You know what? I'll show you. My cameraman's non-existent, so I'm gonna come to you. Here's my Dianthus calyxes that I'm drying off. Honestly, I just leave them like this until I'm ready to seed the following season because the seeds are so tiny. It's easier to just break them open directly over the soil that you're planting in. I'll show you how I do that. Here's a piece of paper that I put down, and I'm literally, if you just kind of move the calyx a bit, that's all chaff, but whoop, there are these tiny minuscule little sort of orange seeds that come out. Ooh, there's a nice bunch that poured out. You can sow indoors 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost, and then eventually transplant outside. Use a well-draining potting mix, of course, when you're seeding them, and just cover them lightly with soil because they'll blow away. Here's a Dianthus that's mostly wilted and done, but I'm going to show you for purpose of foliage. The leaves on any Dianthus plant are opposite. See how they're exactly opposite on the stems? The really cool thing about actually this whole family, Caryophyllaceae, you can identify any plant in that family by looking for these nodes, they're called, along the stem where each leaf grows out. The nodes are quite swollen, and you'll see that in carnations, you'll see that in baby's breath, which is also in the Caryophyllaceae family, soapwort. It also helps you rule out plants that are not in this family. So for example, phlox sometimes can look a lot like different cultivars of Dianthus, and you might look at it and think, oh, is that a Caryophyllaceae plant? Phlox will not have those swollen nodes. I'm going to show you up close. Let's give my non-existent cameraman a name. Let's call him Winston. Winston, you're useless. I have to do everything myself. Okay, these leaves are definitely worse for wear. However, it's a really good visual of the stem. See what goes up here? Here's this swollen node where the leaves are coming out. The flowers on Dianthus are terminal, which means they only bloom at the top. They're not along the stem, and they always have either 5 petals or 4 petals. More likely you'll see 5. They bloom out of these really elongated calyxes, and that is where the seeds will be once that bloom dries off. There are so many colors, I'm not going to start listing them. Here, I'll throw some photos at you. It's really phenomenal how many different kinds of Dianthus colors you can get. Like I mentioned earlier, they have these, most varieties, not all, but some will have these serrated edges, and then they have these cute little white stains that poke out like little antennas, like they're little bugs or something. Oh, Apparently, I actually didn't know this, but some cultivars have this extremely spicy, like cinnamony clove sort of fragrance. These ones definitely don't, but I'm going to be keeping my eyes out next season for a variety that is bred for fragrance. I've heard that the really red ones are. Do you know? Do you know about this? Also, deadheading really helps the blooms stay consistently through the season. Dianthus will flower, historically not for a long time, but it's been bred over the years to bloom from early summer all the way until frost. So as long as you stay on top of that deadheading and keep a regular watering schedule, you probably won't be disappointed. There you go, really well-known plant, so many options to pick from, lots of fun. Try from seed. You can also just buy the plants if you're lazy. Don't you think Dianthus would be a good name for a dog? Am I right, or am I crazy? Dianthus, get over here! Dianthus, not in the house! Dianthus.